Hey, Shalom, Akyam, Shalom. Before I begin this lesson, I want to start off by giving all glory, honor, and praises unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachakwadash, and double honors unto the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who taught us His truth. A sincere Shalom to the hopeful elect that's out there listening, learning, and or teaching in truth and sincerity. Shalom. All right, Akyam. So today I want to go into this topic, that came to mind a little bit ago, and through the spirit, I'm able to make the video today. But basically, the title of this video is going to be something along the lines of us men, all right, especially the Israelite man, right, the so-called Negro, Latino, Native American, Indian man. We have always been and always will be the prize, okay? And why do I say that? I spend some time on social media, and you see a lot of these videos of these, these women out here, especially the so-called black woman, talking about what? Oh, we're the prize, and the men have to work and jump through our hoops to impress us. They say, they get mad when a man asks them, okay, well, what do you bring to the table? They say, well, we are the table. They say, by default, a woman brings value, okay, and the man has to work to impress her, okay, and it's all falsehood, it's all lies, okay, and it's a great example of that Babylon wine that America has pushed throughout all the world, okay, this Western philosophy, this Western doctrine, okay, that is against biology, and ultimately it's against Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, the creator, okay, who created the man to be the leader, okay. The leader is more important than the men under him, okay, because the leader is supposed to be able to do a higher job, and also if the men under him, let's say there's a few of those men short, right, for example, like with a job, well, the manager can go down to their level and do what they do, right. Now, a lot of places these days you got managers that just sit on their ass, but in the ancient world, that's how it was. You have an example that you had kings in the military fighting on the front lines with their soldiers, leading by example. Okay, that's how a man is. Okay, that's how a man is supposed to be, as a leader. So, not to get too off track, basically the lesson is, going into how men have always been the prize. And we're going to go into the scriptures and prove it, man, precept upon precept. All right. Line upon line, verse upon verse, okay? So I want to start in the book of 1 Peter's, and we're just going to go ahead and read, starting at verse 6. It says, even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord, whose daughters ye are, as long as ye do well, and are not afraid with any amazement. Okay, so as you can see that in the ancient world, our women called us Lord. Okay, you don't call someone Lord if they're not the prize. All right, now going on to verse 7, it says, likewise, ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge, giving honor unto the wife as unto the weaker vessel. Okay, and as being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers be not hindered. Right, so we got to understand that the woman is that weaker vessel. She needs our leadership. She needs our rulership. Okay. And it tells you that more clearly in Genesis 3rd chapter and the 16th verse. It says, unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. Okay, so the Lord set up the man to rule over his woman. Okay, it's as simple as that. Okay. And in the ancient world before America and all these weird philosophies, this feminism and all this BS, okay, the women would train from a young age. They would be trained up by their parents to be desirable to a man. They would learn how to cook, clean, wash dishes. They would learn how to do all type of important skills so that the man could do what he needs to do. And when he gets home to what? To a clean house, to a pleasant smile, to a woman who's there to be a pillar of rest and not a pillar of stress, a woman who's there to be a mother to his children, right? To guide the house while he's not there, right? Because you got that order. You got Yahweh, then you got Yahushai, then you got the man, then his woman, and then the children, okay? And, you got a lot of these modern females, caught up in feminism to the point where they know how to do everything but what a woman was supposed to do. A woman was supposed to cook and clean and take care of the kids. These women will get abortions. These women will leave their kids in the back of a hot fucking car in 100-degree weather to go into a store and go shop for clothes so she could go out and act crazy. Then she come back to the car and the kid is dead. How many times have we seen that news story, man? Okay? But when you live in the valley of the shadow of death, this place of darkness called America, okay, where up is down and down is up, people are filled with all type of confusion, man. And they don't know what the truth is. Okay, and this is why we have to go back to our heritage, Akim. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians, when you come back to this truth, all right, the Spirit of the Lord is going to guide you into all truth, man. And you're going to have all the understanding of the ancients, okay, in this world where nothing makes sense and everything's a fucking lie. Again, if you haven't figured that out already, then you must be living under a rock. But, basically the point being, man, okay, the scriptures tells you the whole truth, man. Okay, so once we get that full understanding, okay, we can see through all the smoke and mirrors of America, okay, of Babylon. All right. So with that being said, like as it says here in Genesis 3:16, he shall rule over thee, right? The man shall rule over his woman, because the woman wasn't given the spirit of wisdom, man. Because she doesn't need it. Everybody has their place. The Lord didn't give animals a logical mind so they could do math and learn language and do all that. No, the animals in their place. Certain animals were created to clean the earth. Certain animals were created to be meat for man. The animals have their purpose. The woman has her purpose. The man has his purpose. Okay? Different men are going to have different positions in the kingdom. Not every man is going to be a king. Okay? The Israelites are going to be the ruling class, and the heathens, what are they going to be? They're going to be our servants. Okay? And that's just hierarchy, man. But there's nothing wrong with that. But in this world, you've been taught that, these women have been taught that hierarchy is evil. What do they call it? Destroy the patriarchy. That's what a lot of these females say without even knowing why they're parroting it. Okay? Everything you see around you was created by a man. Okay? This whole society is ran by men. This whole feminist society is ran and upheld by men so that you women could even have the freedom to go around and talk crazy to your men and talk all this shit on social media. Okay? So, at the end of the day, they've just gotten away from, that understanding that, the ancient women had. The ancient women, they understood their place. Okay? And again, who was the one that was deceived? It wasn't Adam, it was Eve who was deceived. The scriptures tells us that. The scriptures tell us it was not Adam. Let's get that real quick. Here we go. 1 Timothy 2. And we're going to start from... Let's see here. There's a lot of good stuff here. But we're just going to get to the point. We'll start at verse 11. It says, "Let the woman learn in silence with all subjection. But I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over the man, but to be in silence." Okay? For Adam was first formed, then Eve. And Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in the transgression, right? Just bringing that point up that, it's through the woman, Satan, or Salagia, the serpent, right? The serpent, which was a man, okay, he went to the woman first because she's that weaker vessel. She's easier to manipulate. Okay, and this is why they need the man as a leader. This is why we are the prize. Okay, this is why you got all these single mothers out there going through it, man. Emotionally, physically, financially, because they made terrible decisions. Okay, but if they had a man and they would submit to that man, they would be in a much better position. All right, so that's that. So with that, I want to go on to the next precept, man. This is Job 39:17. It says, because the Most High hath deprived her of wisdom, neither hath he imparted to her understanding, right? Going into that woman, the Lord has not given her wisdom, okay, on the same level as the man, okay? So I want to grab Sirach 7:25, going into, this is why in the ancient world, okay, it was a big deal for a man. Because here's the thing, man. A woman is a possession. Okay, according to the scriptures, a woman is a possession. And she belonged to a man at all times, whether it was her father or her husband. Okay, but the woman was never just allowed to just, belong to herself, if that makes sense. Okay, a woman is a possession until she's married off. And the only time she's free is if she's married off and then her husband dies and she, stays a widow. Okay. But anyway, here in Sirach 7, we're going to read verse 25. It says, marry thy daughter, and so shalt thou have performed a weighty matter, but give her to a man of understanding, right? Give her to a man of understanding, a man who's going to be able to lead her in the right direction. Okay. So, the woman is a possession, but she's not a prize. There's a difference. Okay. She was a possession that was, married off to a man. Okay. But women in the ancient world, they worked very hard to please a man because the man was always the prize. This is why, just looking at biology, man, a man is simply more valuable than a woman. One man can basically repopulate the world. Okay, or a group of men can quickly repopulate the world. Okay, but only takes one. How many million sperm cells a day does a man create versus a woman's, one egg a month? So, basically, just in that aspect, man, that's why men have 10 times the sex drive. That's why the scriptures talk about a man could have more than one woman. Okay, so clearly the man has always been more valuable. That's why you could have 7 women to one man. And that one man is more than enough for all 7 of those women. Okay, but one woman is not enough for a man. You see? So I want to grab some of that real quick. Deuteronomy, it goes into that, polygamy has always been a thing in the ancient world, especially amongst our people. And, of course, the polygamy we practice is one man to have multiple wives, but not the other way around. Okay, because, a woman with more than one man, that's just a whore. That's just a prostitute. That's just, that's wickedness. Ultimately, that's adultery. Okay. Deuteronomy 21:15, if a man have 2 wives, one beloved, hang on, that's not it. I saw it over here somewhere. Give me 1 second, Salakia. Shall not diminish. Yeah, Exodus 21:10. And if he take him another wife, her food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage shall he not diminish. Right. So if you get a second woman, you still got to keep the same arrangement you had with the first woman. You can't take away some of her bread to give it to the second woman. You got to be faithful to that first woman. Okay? But that's all it means. That's how a man is faithful is, you keep taking care of your woman. All right? But today in modern times, they twisted that and say, oh, well, a man can only have one woman and a woman can only have one man because it's monogamy and blah, blah, blah. And it's like they're trying to put us men who are the prize, they're trying to put us on the same level as these women, which is not true. It's not accurate. It's not how the scriptures have told us. Okay, and so this whole thing about courting a woman and taking a woman out on multiple dates and paying all this money and then getting on your hands and knees like a bitch and being like, will you marry me? That all that bullshit, all that simp behavior, all that weak bullshit, okay, that's modern, that's a new thing. Okay, that's a new thing here on the earth. Okay, and this is what you get when these Edomites, these so-called white people, rule the world. Everything gets all fucked up. The food is fake. The society sucks. Everything's overpriced. Shit that should be free, you gotta pay for. And of course, the relationship between men and women goes to shit. Okay? So as you can see, man, these people have got to fucking go, man. These Edomites have got to get out of power. The Lord's gonna take them out of power and utterly destroy them. Okay, because of what they did to creation, man. They're destroying the creation, man. Okay? The most simple thing, a man and a woman coming together, they fucked that shit up. Now you got gender wars, now you got population decline and collapse. They talk about animals in the wild. They say, no matter how much you punish an animal, they always reproduce. But if you punish an animal hard enough, you can make it stop reproducing. And who's doing that? Who's ruling the world in anger? Like the scripture says, these Edomites, they got our people overworked and underpaid, and to the point where our people are our testosterone is dropping, all these problems. But even then, we still reproduce because we're fruitful people, like the scripture says, man. But like the scripture says here, I'm just going to go ahead and read it. This is Jeremiah 31:22. How long will thou go about, O thou backsliding daughter? For Yahweh hath created a new thing on the earth. What's that new thing? A woman shall compass a man. All right. So to compass a man means basically like when you surround somebody. Basically, these women have power over us. All right. The word is sabab. Okay. Let's see, to encompass, to surround, right? You're surrounded, right? Okay, these women have power over us. Let's get this word compass in the etymology and see what we get there real quick. Compass. C1300, space, area, extent, circumference. I think we want the verb. Let me see. The verb. Here we go. Compass. To devise, plan. To surround, contain, envelop, enclose. Okay. To go around, measure. Okay. You have to go around because now these women could get around our rulership, our leadership. All right. An example to this is, okay, let's say you're a man and you got a woman in your house and she's acting crazy. She wants to do her girls' night out. You're telling her, look, bitch, you're going to stay in this house and you're going to get these dishes washed. All right. You're not going out and partying and acting crazy and ultimately being around other men, because that's what they do when they do that girls' night out bullshit. Right. You tell her that and then she starts screaming, doing this and that. Next thing you know, the neighbors hear it. They call the cops. They don't know how to mind their business. They call the cops. Cops say they heard a woman scream. They liable to break the door down and arrest you, even though she's in your house. Okay, so the woman could go around your leadership now. The woman doesn't have to listen to us. You see? This is a new thing on the earth, man. In the ancient world, It was the man's way or the highway. Okay, and for good reason, because these women cannot lead themselves, man. Look at their choices in men. What do they say in the world? 80% of women are 80% of women are after the top 20% of dudes. All right, and they keep getting pumped and dumped by the same dude, and they're making videos condemning all men because they don't know how to lower their standards. Because you got all these simps on the internet bigging up these women's egos, man. And they can't see past all those fake compliments. They can't see past it in order to realize, oh, they just want to F you women, man. They just want to pop you. They don't want to have a relationship with you. You know? But they take it as, oh, well, if they're willing to deal, and that's another thing. Women don't understand men. You know, because they're very self-centered. They like to project instead of listening to understand a man. They listen to respond, give their point of view. Which the late great Kevin Samuels, as they call him, he was always telling women like, hey, stop talking, listen to understand. Don't listen to respond or to argue or to be disagreeable. Just listen, because they want to argue. They think they take everything as a personal attack. It's like, no, sometimes we're just trying to help you out, woman. But they don't have to listen to us in this world. They compass us. They go around us. They have more power in this society than a man. All right? But just because society gave women power and put them on a pedestal doesn't mean that they are naturally the prize. No, they're not the prize. Esau has artificially created a society that artificially makes women the prize, but it's never been the case. They've never been the prize. They've never actually been in that position. When you put a woman in that position, what does it do? It creates death on the earth. Okay? That's why the wages of sin is death. You see? So going back to Isaiah, what were we in Isaiah? We were in Jeremiah, my fault. Jeremiah 31:22. It says, how long wilt thou go about, O thou backsliding daughter? For Yahweh hath created a new thing in the earth. A woman shall compass a man. All right? And so this new thing is also getting ready to come to an end. And then it's going to be plainly obvious to you females out there that we've always been the prize, man. These Israelite men out here, especially brothers who are just, regular hardworking brothers. They go clock into a 9-to-5. They go to camp. They make their videos. They believe sincerely in the Lord. They doing what they supposed to, man. And you women don't realize those men are more valuable than these rich niggas in the world, and these, even these Warren Buffetts and Elon Musk and all these motherfuckers out here that they have worldly wealth. These rappers out here, all these famous guys, these guys ain't shit compared to the men of the Lord, man. All right? But even a regular working 9-to-5 dude that you women in the world look at as dusties, and you look at us as dusties too. But those guys, ain't nothing wrong with those guys, man. Those guys are on you women's levels. It's just that you have an artificially inflated ego because this system has made you the prize when you clearly are not. And that's why you women will never be happy in this society. You could try as hard as you want. You could get as much makeup as you want. You could get as much butt lift as you want. You could get all the BBLs and Botox and fake titties and wigs and weaves and extensions and this, that, and the third. And you could get the best perfume and all that bullshit. But guess what? A man is still not going to deal with you on a relationship basis because you don't know how to act feminine. Because you don't know how to accept your place beneath a man. You always want to be above the man. And so you'll never submit. You'll never be feminine. You'll never open up and allow yourself to be a woman. Okay? The word woman means female servant. But how could you be a servant? How could you be a woman when you think you're the prize? Okay? You women are watching that are of the hopeful elect, that are, sincerely listening and learning, Hey, if you got any semblance of that feminism in your mind, any of that remaining that makes you feel like you're above any man or you're a prize, you need to get that out of your head, man. You know, because you know, that's the thing. Women have forgotten the value of a man, man. They think a lot of women even think they could beat a man up in a fight because they're a little taller. It's like, nah, bitch, you could have a 5 foot even dude. He will hand a 6 foot tall woman's ass to her in a fight. I don't care what nobody says, man. A man is a man. Our muscles are thicker, our bones are stronger, our minds are sharper and more wise for the most part. Okay? You know, unless you're fighting a dude that's like Down syndrome or whatever. But even then, they got that retard strength or whatever. You know? But you get the point, Akim. I mean, shit, Akim and Akwath, y'all get the point. Right? So I want to go on to the next precept here. This is Isaiah 13 and 12. It says, I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir. You see, because when Jacob's trouble happens and it goes into full effect, where you got, blackouts and famines and food shortages, and you got people out here killing each other for food, for bread. There's going to be a lot of grape going on. There's going to be a lot of people getting thrown in concentration camps. Hell, it's already happening on a lower level. But it's only going to intensify. And what's going to happen? You women are going to realize that this whole system was artificial. That you were never the prize. That you were never this bad bitch. You were just delusional the whole time. And you women are going to realize real quick, man, how inferior you are to a man. Especially you Israelite women. Because you Israelite women are on a fucking pedestal, man. And I can't wait till y'all get taken down off your pedestal, man. Till you women are humbled. You know, and all that wickedness is going to be stripped out of you, man. And those of you that don't get with the program, you're just going to die out here. Straight up, you're going to die out here. Because there's going to be a lot of hell going on, man. Yeah, that's why verse 13 says, therefore will I shake the heavens, and the earth shall remove out of her place in the wrath of Yahweh of hosts and in the day of his fierce anger. You know, because eventually Jacob's trouble and these wars is going to escalate to the point of what? Nuclear annihilation of America. America's going to be going through that thermonuclear destruction, getting that judgment. All right? And so, the times we're coming into, everything is going to be escalating. It's like you're going up a hill and the hill's getting even steeper until you get to the top. Okay? You women aren't going to be able to keep up by yourself. You need a man to protect you. And a lot of you are realizing it right now. You're starting to see the tide turn. You got a lot of these female influencers on the internet talking about how the man is the prize now. How women have been fucking up. I've never heard women being accountable ever. Okay, but now it's happening on the internet. Some of them are being accountable, even though a lot of them are faking it, just trying to get clout. Because it's, starting to get popular now, these quote unquote manosphere topics or whatever, which the manosphere, there's some truth to stuff they say, but at the same time, it's a gender war and all that, which, we're not about hating women. Okay. We love women here at GMS. We just hate what you have become by listening to this serpent. Okay. And the Lord is going to purge that out of you. All right. So it's time to get with the program. Y'all women don't get with the program, you're just going to die out here, straight up. All right? So we got Isaiah 32 and 2. All right? And, we'll just get straight to the point. It says, and a man shall be as a hiding place from the wind, right? The winds of destruction. Okay? We just read in the last verse, going into Jacob's trouble, going full blast. The nukes are going to be falling eventually. The Lord is going to give us spiritual powers when these devils start putting hands on us, trying to throw us in concentration camps, trying to put a bullet in our head, because there's going to be a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. They're going to come after Jake, okay, but they ain't going to be able to do nothing with the men of the elect. All right, some of us will be martyred, right? They might take us and martyr us, okay, as a witness. For Yahweh Shai's sake. Okay, but a lot of us are going to get that power, and it's going to be obvious to the world that we are those special guys, man. We are the chosen. Lord's will I be of that number, man. Okay, because when that happens, it's going to be plainly obvious. Okay, and they're going to see those that get martyred, and they're going to see those that get the power, and they're going to say, wow, these guys had the correct testimony. These guys were the truth. All right, and you women especially are going to see it, man. The Lord is going to make us famous on this day, man. Okay, in the same way, y'all women, 80% of you are chasing the same dudes. They keep pumping and dumping you. Okay, which, hey, that's another example of men being the prize, man. They're still the prize even in this artificial bullshit, because y'all all still chasing a top dude, and you know he's fucking all these other women. All right, and knowing how y'all are when it comes to, oh, he's a quote-unquote cheater. It's like, but you stay with him. You see? Because you know deep down men can't cheat. You know deep down that's a man that could get other women. Okay, which resembles a man of value, even though he's also been artificially put up. You know, these pretty boys that are getting all the women now, they're also being propped up artificially, just like these feminists are, just like all these women who think they're the prize, right? Okay, but on this day, a reality check is coming to all of you, man. You men and women who thought you were the shit. Okay, the men of the Lord are going to be the shit on this day. Because we're going to have that power. And we're going to be able to protect against all this destruction. Against Esau, you know, against famine. All type of things that are going to be trying to destroy us. But the Lord is going to give us that power. Okay? So continuing on in the verse, it says, in a covert from the tempests, as rivers of water in a dry place, as the shadow of a great rock in a weary land, right? You out here starving, people trying to kidnap you, grape you, you know, put you to death, and you find you a man that could protect you. Hey, you women ain't gonna have no problems if he's too short, quote unquote. Oh, you're not 6 feet. None of you women are gonna care about height on that day, man. None of you women are gonna care about a man's bag. Money ain't even gonna be a thing. The economy is finna collapse. Okay, all these things that y'all put all this value and importance on that don't fucking matter, you're gonna open your eyes and you're gonna see it on that day. Okay, and you Akim out there, we're all gonna see it. Okay, and it's gonna confirm what we already knew. Okay, and you people in the world, all right, you're going to realize that this was all, again, smoke and mirrors, man. This is all deception, darkness, a land of gross darkness. Okay? You know? Which brings me to my final point. This is Isaiah 4:1. It says, and in that day, right, that day when all hell's breaking loose, it says 7 women shall take hold of one man. Right? 7 is the number of completion. So it could be much more than 7. It could be 20 women, 100 women to one man. Okay, it says saying, we will eat our own bread. Right? They're not going to be saying, you need to take me out to eat. You need to take me to fucking, don't take me to no Cheesecake Factory. You got to take me to this 5-star restaurant. You got to wine and dine me. And I got to feed my 8 kids that I'm taking on the first date. You know, like a lot of these women on social media. And they got the audacity to record themselves as if they're the victim, acting like, well, if a man don't pay for me and my 8 kids on a first date, then he ain't a man. It's like, bitches ain't gonna be worried about that. They just gonna want our protection. Okay, they'll eat their own food. They'll find their own food. Okay? You know, it says we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. They're gonna wear their own clothes. They ain't gonna ask you to spend all this money on them. That shit is a thing of the past. It says, only let us be called by thy name, which is sex, which is marriage. When you get someone's last name, it's because you married to them, which we know through the scriptures, marriage was never a contract. It was always sex. Okay, so they just gonna want to have sex with you and be called your woman. Be called by your last name. Okay, to take away our reproach, right? Their shame. Because look at them, man. They're crying all over the internet. You got all these dating events. You got hundreds of women going to a dating event and not one man showed up. That shit's happening all over the States, man. All these single women crying. It's really, and I think they called it, for a while, they tried to call it the male loneliness epidemic, but it's actually the female loneliness epidemic, man. Because us men can enjoy solitude, man, but you women, you always got to be talking to somebody. That's why you're always putting yourself out there on the internet crying, putting out your deepest, darkest thoughts on the internet. You can't stop talking, okay? And you're lonely. You're sad, you're angry, you're confused because you followed the ways of the serpent. Okay, but don't worry. The Lord is going to destroy the serpent, man. When Esau goes down, you women are going down too. And if you don't get with the program now, you're going to be destroyed with our enemies, man. Okay? Because it's time for the Israelite man to come back into power. We've been down way too long, man. These heathen nations, these Edomites have been ruling over us way too long, man. Okay, what does the scripture say? Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that follows. So, hey, there's getting ready to be a change of power, a change of a power reversal. Okay, we're gonna go from the bottom of the barrel to the very top, to the creme of the creme, man. And you women are gonna recognize it on that day, man. Starting with the so-called black woman, all the tribes, and even you heathen women are gonna see, which they're already seeing it, man. You got all these so-called white women craving Israelite men, so-called Negro, Latino, Native American, Indian men. Okay, boy, it's gonna be even more pronounced on that day, man. Okay, you just can't come on the ships, but we're gonna have harems on that day, man. And you Akim out there that's going through it, because of society, hey, don't worry, man. We're gonna eat very soon, brethren. Okay, we're gonna have our pick of the litter with these women, man. Okay, it don't matter what they say now, because this whole system's getting ready to crash and burn. Okay, and good. This devil's gonna burn, and these wicked ass women that don't change their wicked ass ways, you're gonna burn with them. Okay, and the rest of you that get on board, you're gonna be good. You're gonna be protected. Because like the scripture says, the women shall be saved in childbearing, man. So if they have our children, they know, okay, well, shoot, we got a place on that ship. We're going to be protected, So, yeah, man, you Israelite women, it's time to get with the program, all right? Right now, I would definitely be thinking about, getting with a man of the Lord while you still can, okay? Because once all hell breaks loose and this internet busts down and there's no more phone signal and everything goes dark, it's going to be hard to find a man of the Lord, So if you're still being picky and choosy and all that, hey, just know it's going to be to your own destruction, which I'm not begging none of you women to talk to brothers, man. It got to come from the heart. So, at the end of the day, the Lord is going to guide us to the right women and y'all to the right men. Those of you that are right and in your right mind. Okay, but that's the lesson, Akim. We men always have been and always will be the prize. So with that, I want to finish by giving all glory, honor, and praise unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahawashi, Bahashem HaKadosh, and double honors unto the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who taught us his truth, a sincere shalom to the hopeful elect, a shalom wa, abad babal, shalom.